So as a mum of 4 children, I feel like I've been trying to squeeze more out of my days and make myself more productive for a really long time. I've been on something of a productivity journey since I realised I was having my second child, and if I didn't get my act together, I was going to be in trouble. And I have learned a lot over the years to make my life easier as a very busy mum. Now, when earlier this year I was diagnosed with ADHD, it turned out that a lot of these productivity hacks that I had been cultivating to make my life easier also happen to be ADHD hacks. So whether you are a busy, overwhelmed mum who just wants to kind of make life easier, be a bit more productive in the time that you've got to do things so you can actually spend more time relaxing, or if, like me, you probably quite recently realised that you have ADHD, this video is going to help your productivity so much. If we've not met before, hi, I am Ree from mummyof4.com. Now let's dive straight in to the productivity tips. Productivity hack number 1, sleep is key. If you are a mum and you've ever had a newborn that does not sleep, so that's most of us, you know that without sleep, it is really hard to function. It is so impossibly hard to function. And something I learned when my babies were very, very small is that when you are given time to sleep, you don't want to waste time trying to fall asleep. You want to just fall asleep and sleep for as long as your child allows you to. And falling asleep when you've got a lot on your mind or you have a very busy ADHD brain can be a bit challenging. And that is why for years and years and years now, I have not even attempted to fall asleep without listening to meditations, sleep hypnosis, audio tracks. There are so many that you can get. Listening to these helps me switch off from my brain that is constantly lists and lists and lists of the things I should be doing the next day to quietening it down and actually getting to fall asleep really fast. And then ultimately, the more sleep we get, the better we can function the next day and the more productive we can be. Now, personally, because I don't want to listen to these things out loud, because I think it would bug my husband, I just have one AirPod in at a time. And that way, when one goes flat, I can put the other one in. And I can also sleep on the ear that doesn't have the AirPod in because I sleep on my side. So it's not horribly uncomfortable. I know you can get headband sleep earphone things. Let me know down in the comments if you've had any experience with those and if they're any good and if I should try them. My next tip for productivity is if you are working with any form of screen is to work in a full screen mode. So if you are working at a computer and you have got icons all down the side and things all across the bottom, especially if you have ADHD, when you get to a boring bit of the task or something that's a bit challenging, you're going to want to click on pretty much anything other than the thing you should be doing. So move your work into full screen mode so the only thing that you can see is the thing you should be working on and distractions are minimized. Moving on from that, to minimize distractions while we are working, because remember, the more we get done while we are working, the less time we actually have to spend doing the work and the more time we can spend relaxing. Make sure you have got your phone set to do not disturb mode while working. I have various focuses set up on my iPhone, which then copy across to my computer, which only allow certain people to contact me while I should be working. That very short list being my husband in case there is an emergency, and he knows not to just ring me for chit chat during work time. So I know if he's calling, it's something important. My children's school, because let's face it, if your school are calling in the middle of the day, that's a call you're going to want to take. There's probably something wrong with your child. My children and 1 or 2 very close family members. And other than that, nobody can get through. Because I'm going to be honest with you, if I stopped working every time a notification went off, especially when you're on 11 billion WhatsApp groups for the school, for the class, and then the year group, and then the netball group, and then the dance group, and all the things, and everyone's having a chit chat on it. If notifications went off every time someone messaged on there, I would never get any work done ever. You would not have seen any videos from me because they would not have been filmed or edited because I would have spent my entire days just looking at WhatsApp because it was pinging all day. So mute all those notifications other than those emergency contacts. Get more done while you're focusing so you can spend more time with those people when you're actually off work. On to some time management tips. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I live by my planner. I couldn't find a planner that I loved, so I designed my own. I now have an entire range inside of my planner store. My planner of choice at the moment has got to be my Organised Life and Gratitude Planner. It has 30-minute time blocks so that I can block off what needs to be done. For me, an hour was too much. I needed to get it down to those 30-minute blocks. I time block everything. If you've watched my weekend reset videos, you'll know that I have everything on a digital calendar, a family joint one, so that everyone can see what everyone else needs to do when children have to be certain places, when my husband's here, not here, all of that goes on the digital calendar. And then on the weekends, I translate that onto my paper planner. And there is something about using the pen and paper to block out what's happening when that really helps get my mind focused. And then I block out what needs to be done when by putting my to-do lists onto my planner as if they were appointments. If you think back to when you're in school, you're not in a maths lesson trying to do English. You don't do that multitasking. When you're in a maths lesson, in theory, you should just be doing math. This whole thing of multitasking as a productivity hack is largely a lie. I'm afraid to tell you, it is largely a lie. And especially if you have ADHD like me, it's so easy to get distracted. And if you just know you're supposed to be doing one thing during one block, your life is going to be so much easier. What you can then add into that is the Pomodoro technique, which is using short time blocks followed by mini breaks in order to maximize your productivity. I am currently loving an app called Flora for Pomodoro technique. At the beginning of a work session, then you press the button and it plants a seed for a tree. And if you pick up your phone to use it and exit the app during that session when you should be working, it kills the tree. Okay, now it is only a fake tree, but it seems to be enough of gamifying it to keep me on track. I also introduced this to my son, who is currently in year 8 of secondary school, and he used it for exam revision for his year 7 exams and really liked it. Next thing that you can do for productivity, and this really works for my ADHD brain, is make things a race or a competition to see how much you can get done by the end of a session. ADHD brains work really well under deadlines. If you can set yourself fake mini deadlines of certain points throughout the day, it helps to focus you and you're more likely to be able to get things done. Plus, gamifying things just makes everything more fun, and making things fun makes it easier to be productive. Now, to contradict the point I made earlier about multitasking, there are some things that I do that actually without multitasking would drive me insane. So if I am doing some work that really I have to focus on, like filming this video or editing or writing, really I need zero distractions so I can just zone in on what I'm supposed to be doing. However, there are other more kind of mundane tasks I have to do that require far less brain power but still have to be done. Then for those things, I would say multitasking actually helps me. What I mean by that is perhaps listening to a podcast or an audiobook or music, or even having a low maintenance TV show or YouTube channel on in the background, something that doesn't require a lot of looking at. You can mostly just listen to it. While I'm doing things like thumbnail design or something that requires my brain but doesn't require as much of my brain, having those things to keep me company actually helps to keep me on task. So yes, multitasking can be bad or can be good. Like cleaning, for example, I wouldn't dream of cleaning without having something to watch or listen to or a friend to talk to on the phone in my AirPods. That is multitasking at its finest and how it should be done. There's another time management tip that may work for you, but honestly doesn't really work perfectly for me. And again, I'm going to blame ADHD for that. And that is doing entire days of time blocking. So a lot of people will say to do one thing and do it for the whole day. And the theory behind this is when you context switch, as in when you go from doing one thing to going to doing another thing, you lose 20% of your productivity apparently in that switch. So I agree, switching from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing every 5 minutes is not a good idea. However, I personally find I have to manage my energy levels and my attention levels. And while it might seem sensible that I should film videos all day, for example, on a day that I've got clean hair, and I have put makeup on. In theory, that's a good idea. However, I know if I film too many videos back to back, I'm going to feel really zapped of energy and burnt out, and those videos at the end of the day just won't be that good. Equally, I know that if I have a full day of just doing super mundane tasks, by the end of the day, I'll be going out of my tiny little mind. So for me, I would rather stick to the time blocking we talked about earlier without doing entire days, although this is entirely going to depend on you learning more about yourself and what works for you. My advice to you is try it out. And in fact, let me know in the comments, have you tried this out? Are you going to try it out? Once you've tried it out, come back and let me know. But give it a go. Try doing a whole day of one type of task. See how that works out for you. And try doing the time blocking hour or 2 hour slots, even half an hour slots of tasks, and see how that works for you. For me, I like to do the things that are most important and most engaging and need the most of me, the best of me, the most of my energy first thing in the morning, because I find that my energy levels are kind of like my iPhone battery in that they are highest in the morning and rather depleted on low power mode by the evening. This is why inside of my planner, I have today's top 3 priorities for the day, and those things are time blocked at the beginning of the day, with the more mundane, bitty kind of tasks, things that might be important but don't require as much energy or brain power, scheduled later on in the day. Let's talk about your physical space and visual cues when it comes to productivity. One thing that I have realized is that I was not naturally a tidy person. I was not brought up to be a tidy person, but I can't function in a messy environment. So I've had to teach myself over the years to have clear spaces to work in, because I cannot even think when there's clutter everywhere. So if I have got a lovely clear space, a clear desk, I feel like I have a clear mind, and it helps me to focus on the thing I'm supposed to be doing. Kind of like if there are too many things cluttering up my computer, on my desktop. My physical desktop also needs to be clear so that, again, I'm only focused on the one thing I'm supposed to be doing. Otherwise, I will be very easily distracted. So the only things I need on my desk are my computer, my mouse and keyboard, that kind of thing, my drink, so that one distraction is not having to run off and get a drink, or I get hyper focused and lost in things and I forget to drink and then I wonder why I have a headache. Speaking of which, I should probably have a drink. Then the only other thing on my desk other than my iPad, which works as a second screen, is my planner, because that has everything in it that I'm supposed to do. So when I'm sitting there wondering what I'm supposed to do, it's all in my planner. I also have up behind my desk my clipboards, and this will only work if you're in kind of certain industries, I suppose. But for me, each video is like a separate project, and I do have a clipboard system where each video has its own clipboard. If there are any contracts or brand work bits or anything else that need to go with that video, any additional information, it all goes on that clipboard. And then as each video is finished, the clipboard comes down and all the others move along. So when I'm sitting down, I can see at a glance what I'm supposed to be doing on the wall as well as in my planner, and I have everything I need to do that video, that project in one place. This might be a slightly niche tip, but for those it's relevant to, do try it. It will really, really help you. Now let's chat about organising and a bit of pre-planning and how it can help your productivity, especially if you have ADHD. Now, I designed this specific planner before I realised I had ADHD, and I've got the time blocking, I've got the priorities, I've got the to-do list, I've got the things I'm grateful for, which makes it the Organised Life and Gratitude Planner, so that I can kind of focus on the positive things, the wins I've had for the day, the things I've been grateful for. But I also had this note section, which with hindsight, maybe I should have called the side quest section. And this is where I am supposed to write, and sometimes I really have to force myself to write down the ideas I have and the things that pop into my head, specifically when I'm working on something boring, tedious, or something that I really don't want to do. And suddenly I get all these ideas about, oh my goodness, I just forgot to pay for Bella's netball, or, oh, wow, hang on, I had to sort something for swimming, or, oh, didn't I need to order ballet tights for Zara? And all these things pop into my head, as well as all these ideas I get. I get some amazing ideas when I should be doing other things, like, oh, I've just had this great idea for redesigning my website. Ultimately, when I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing, because I've written it in my planner, I've time blocked it in my planner, that is not the time to go and do life admin, order things from Amazon that I've suddenly remembered I need to order urgently, or go and action a new big project that sounds shinier and more exciting than what I'm currently doing. No, Ree, you don't need to redesign your website right now. You need to get back to work. So in that notes section, that is where I write all those side quests that come into my brain, because I feel like the thoughts and ideas that come into my brain are like clouds, like Maria with The Sound of Music. How do you catch a cloud and pin it down?
How do you catch a cloud and pin it down?
Well, those are my thoughts, and if I don't catch them and pin them down, they're gone forever. And if I don't have a system, a one solid place to put all these notes and ideas, then they will get lost. So my notes section, my side quest section of my planner, is where all those things are captured. I can glance over them at the end of the day when I finish my work section and action all those little bitty things like order something from Amazon, pay for swimming, that need to be done right at the end of the day after I've done my key tasks. And then also when I'm doing my planning for the following week, I can flick back through and go, oh yeah, those really great ideas I had, I can actually action those next week. And I can put them in my planner and actually block out time to make those things happen. Meal planning is something I resisted doing for so long, but I can't tell you how much has changed my life. I now go through on the weekend doing my meal plan. We have a look at the ingredients to use. I then make a meal plan, make a list of everything I need on the shopping list. I do my grocery order, I do it all in one hit. Then I copy the meal plan onto my organization station in our kitchen. So whoever's cooking, whether I'm cooking or I'm running the children to one of the activities, and my husband's making dinner, we both know what I've bought, what we need to make, and minimal brain power is required in that end of the day session, because I've got to say there is nothing more stressful than it being the end of the day and realizing you don't know what you're feeding everyone and you have to make dinner and you don't know what you've got, and that's just not a nice feeling. So meal planning on the weekend is a gift to future me that I'm grateful for every single day. Something else I do to pre-plan and organize now is my weekend reset. And this does involve the meal planning. It also involves planning out what everyone's doing for the week, which actually aids the meal planning because I know which days which people are going to be here, which days we've got more time, which days we've got less time, and that actually impacts what I choose to put on the meal plan. But also on the weekend reset, I make sure all the children's washing is returned to them. It's all in their school uniform sorters for school. Everything is prepared for the week, so we've not got nasty surprises through the week. That means that during our morning routine, we've not got panic because people haven't got things. During our evening routine, it's going reasonably smoothly because we know what's for dinner. And it's just taking away some of the potential stresses that could crop up during the week, which will cause lots of stress and ultimately impact productivity and my sanity. Something else that's a really good idea to do is to put together a dopamine menu of things that you can do as a little pick me up if you're feeling a bit meh. Because let's face it, not feeling yourself, feeling less energized, feeling just a bit off mentally can really impact everything, productivity included, but ultimately your happiness and well-being and physical health. So what I want you to do is to put together this dopamine menu. I've also heard it called a list of glimmers, which are basically the opposite to triggers. So triggers are things that upset you, stress you out, send you spiraling. Glimmers are things that uplift you, make you feel great, give you that boost. So grab a pen and paper or write it in the notes in your phone, your list, your dopamine menu, your list of things that light you up, recharge you, and make you feel more like you. This could be simple things like a hot shower, watching your favorite show, getting outside, meditating, although I've got to admit, meditating is still something that escapes me. Understanding how to clear my mind as someone with ADHD, that's a bit of a mystery. But if meditation works for you, get it on the list. For me, a big one is talking to my best friend on the phone. Walking with my children. I love actually walking to and from school with them. I find that they really open up and talk to me when we do that. So just pop together this little list of things that really uplift you. You could put songs on there that really uplift you. And in fact, put together a playlist of songs that really make you feel like, yes, hello day, I'm here for it. And you can put that playlist on in the morning or whenever you need a little boost. Which moves us on to talking about energy levels and motivation. Specifically if you have ADHD, but also if you're just a super busy, overwhelmed mum, managing your energy levels is key. It's taken me quite a long time to realize, but in life there are certain people that suck your energy, like energy vampires, and some people that give you energy, that give you life, and you come away from talking to them feeling so much better. And ultimately, I'm not suggesting you cut energy vampires out of your life entirely, but time is something you can't get back. And I've learnt as I've got older to be a lot more careful with who I choose to spend my time with. And I'm trying actively to invest more time in people that build me up and make me feel great, because that ultimately makes me more productive, makes me a better mum for my kids. And choosing to decline invitations from people where I come away feeling like I need to lie down. Managing your energy levels can look like a day-to-day thing. So I already talked about how I try and get the important tasks out of the way earlier in the day, the eat the frog method. And if you haven't heard me talk about the eat the frog method before, that's basically if you were given a frog to eat and you haven't eaten it yet, you're going to worry about that all day and it's just going to hang over you like, oh my goodness, I have to eat that frog. That's disgusting. And if you eat it in the morning, it's done. That nasty thing you have to do is done. It's over. There is peace on the other side of doing the difficult thing. If you have 2 frogs to eat, you're supposed to eat the nastiest, slimiest one first. And from this, we do the biggest, most important thing first, the thing that we want to get over and done with. And by doing this earlier in the morning, for me, I find that that's when I have more of my energy and I feel more depleted by the end of the day. So if I leave those big things to do until the end of the day, chances are they're not going to get done, or they're not going to get done well. So look at whether you are a morning person, an early bird, or a night owl, or maybe a middle of the day person. Manage your energy levels so you're not reaching burnout. There's no point in trying to make yourself run 100 miles an hour all day, every day, because if you don't manage your energy levels, and I'm kind of talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you right now, but if you don't manage your energy levels and you don't choose when to take breaks, your body will pick for you and it will make you ill. And I'm speaking from experience. So some things to keep you on track. Obviously, I use my paper planner. I can highly recommend, and I know a lot of you love them too. I do have my digital calendar system to back that up. I've got my digital calendar system to back that up, and that covers everything from appointments that are like way in advance. Things like dentist appointments. Dentist like, what are you doing next June? And I'm like, I don't know, but we put it in the calendar anyway, and I'll deal with it closer to the time. I also have recurring things in the calendar like swimming and all those other stuff, so I can just see what needs to be done, so I can see where the gaps are, and I can copy that into my paper calendar. I use alarms a lot. This really helps me as turns out an ADHD productivity thing, because time blindness with ADHD is a thing. It's sometimes very difficult to keep track of time. And for me, I go into one of 2 modes. I'm either so hyper-focused on what I'm doing, if I manage to slip into a hyper-focus, that I don't notice the time, or I'm so worried I'm going to forget the time and miss an appointment that I can't focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm like, oh my goodness, it's 9 a.m, but what if I forget to pick up my children from school? So for that, I have alarms that go off throughout the day, alarms when it's time to get up, alarms when it's time to come down for breakfast, alarms when it's time for end of breakfast, time to get the children's shoes on for school, time to finish work to get them from school. All of the things, I have alarms for them, and it's been an absolute game changer because I know the alarms are watching the time, so I don't have to. We touched on this earlier, but whether you're a busy mum or someone who has ADHD, I'd highly recommend keeping a bit of a diary about how you are feeling and what may be causing it. There are ways you can track this within your iPhone, or you could just use a good old pen and paper. But keeping track of which foods make you feel better or worse, whether you're drinking enough, what you've been doing during the day, and what impact that's had on your mood and your productivity can be massive. Since I got my walking pad, which I can highly recommend, it's a bit of an ADHD hack actually. A few months ago, I got a standing desk and a walking pad. I do a lot of my working while walking. There's something about it that helps me quiet my noisy brain, so I'm a little less distracted and I find it easier to focus. But since I got my walking pad, I've been keeping a closer eye on my activity levels, what and when I'm eating, and what kind of impact it has on me. And one thing I have really noticed, if I eat simple carbohydrates or chocolate earlier in the day and I've not had enough of a protein heavy meal, it makes me feel really rubbish. which then lands in a crash in energy. I'm looking for more sugar and I just feel rubbish, and ultimately I'm not functioning as well as I should. However, if I save my enjoying my chocolate till after dinner, then that doesn't seem to happen to me. And it's only by observing this that at age 40, I've noticed that this happens to my body. So I'm not saying this will be the exact same case for you, but what I am saying is if you take the time to make those observations about how much sleep you're getting, what and when you're eating, if you're drinking enough, if you're moving enough, you'll start to see patterns that lead to upward spirals and patterns that lead to downward spirals that affect both your productivity and ultimately your mental health. Something else that really helps my productivity as a busy mum, specifically one with ADHD, is having routine. Now, my children who have autism really thrive on routine, and I kind of need routine, but for different reasons. So I feel that my children with autism have routine because it makes them feel like they know what's going on in the world. It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel secure. And having that routine is just what they need. Now, I feel like I benefit from routine with ADHD, but kind of for a different reason. Routine for me is more about automation. It's more about not having to reinvent the wheel every day. It's the equivalent of paying your bills on direct debit so you don't have to think about them, rather than having to have them on your to-do list. So for me, routine takes things off my to-do list, meaning I have less to actually think about because so much is automated, which helps my ADHD brain. So yes, my children need routine and I can benefit from routine for different reasons, but ultimately routine benefits everyone. And if you want to know how to craft the perfect routine to make your life so much easier, click on the video on screen now or check out my Patreon for early release content and so much more. There's also some of my digital planners that you can get your hands on inside of there. So I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye.